Oh, welcome everybody to WagerTalk Today. I am Lawrence Presman. He is Teddy Covers, and you're watching the best daily all sports betting show on the planet. By far, not even close. And we got a great show lined up. Yesterday, we had people asking for French Open bets. We organized it. Teddy, who's on? What are they talking about?
Well, we've got Ralph Michaels going to lead us off. He's got a chart. We're going to talk the NFL schedule guide, free for download right now at WagerTalk.com from his homepage. Ralph's going to show us what that report has in it and why you should download it. He's also going to talk about the Celtics and the Heat game 2 tonight, as well as the Blue Jays and the Orioles in MLB. Dwayne Bryant's going to join us next. He's going to talk about Blue Jays, Orioles, but he's going to talk about the first 5, as well as Nuggets Lakers game 2 for Saturday night. Nick Borrman is going to join us as well. He's going to talk some French Open and how to bet the French Open futures market. He's got a handful of guys to pay attention to in French Open action. BS segment as well. We got a couple of questions to answer from our viewers. Thank you so much for sending those questions in. Keep them coming. Lawrence, I have no idea if we have a presidential address or not, if you have one planned, but we might have one at the end of the show if we get 100.
I'm ready. I got a presidential address, but yesterday we got stuck at 93 likes, and, well, I wasn't going to budge. Teddy Covers, I want to welcome everybody into the chat room. Daniel Garibaldi, I finally woke up to watch the show 6 a.m. in Hawaii. Daniel, we love that you are here with us. I would be fast asleep, but you live in Hawaii, so you win, bro. I'd love to live in Hawaii. I probably get bored after a few years, but I think I could handle it for a little while. Teddy Covers, I went 2-1 yesterday. I continued the streak. It's still alive. I've won 9 of my last 10 now. I'm on a 17-5 all sports run, but I lost my 5%, which pissed me off. Ski won his 5%. Congratulations to him. And Teddy has his first baseball 5% play of the year up now at Wager Talk. Are you excited, or you just as like get it over with? Win and get it over with. Start and win, please. I don't want to deal with the stress.
No, I'm confident in this one, Prez. I wouldn't be, I don't put out a lot of 5% in MLB. Yeah. I really don't. It's my first one of the year, and there's a reason that it's my first one of the year. It stands out. It stood out last night. It stood out this morning, and hopefully it'll cash tonight.
There you go. Ralph Michaels joining us, everyone. The Pen, welcome to Wager Talk Today, brother.
Hey, Prez, you know what? What you said was very important there. And you know what? We probably say it once a week or probably 3 times a week on this show. It's not if your 5% wins or loses. It's if your entire day wins or loses.
Oh,
yes,
yeah,
we always want our 5% to win. I went to your back end, Prez, right now. 3 straight winning days, 9 winning days the last 10. Folks, that's 90% winning days for Prez. Congrats.
Yeah, man. Thanks, Ralph. And really appreciate it. I'll tell you, man, and I've been saying this for a while. Since October 1st, this has been the single, and I've been sports betting since 1997. This is the best 8-month period I've ever had in my life. And it doesn't seem to want to end, which is, woohoo, don't end ever. I mean, it's crazy. I'll have an 0-5 day and then win 9 days in a row. Like, it's been freaking awesome. Ralph, before we get into it, and we got a lot to talk about. You got the NFL schedule guide you want to discuss, the Celtics and the Heat, Toronto versus Baltimore. But before we get into any of that, Carmine and I were on Puck Time today. We were discussing what to do with a hockey hockey bet after a team goes to overtime. 4 overtimes last night, Teddy. The game started at 8 p.m. It ended at 2 a.m. in the morning. That is insane. That is more than 2 games in one. And there has to be some angles on how to take advantage of the fact that they might have super tired legs, et cetera, et cetera. Ralph, Do you have anything for us on what to do the second game after two teams have played in overtime?
Well, let me just say this. The NHL database is a sliver of what the MLB, NFL, and NBA charts are. So all I could do is tell you this, Prez. I can just tell you the record after a game went to overtime. It does not have two, does not have three. Hell, I
Right.
mean, I don't even know how many playoff games have gone 3 or 4 overtimes. You might be able to.
Not
But I did
many.
go to the database since 2018. There have been 102 playoff overtime games. So I mean, you know how often it happens in the playoffs. So if we simply look at if a game goes into overtime in the next game in the playoffs, the over under is 36, 58 and 3. That is 61.7% to the under. But we always talk about ATS records. You get a record and you think, okay, this is a 62% record. But when I look at the extra data, it doesn't quantify to a 62% because when I look at those 102 games, the average total was 5.6. The average total was 5.6. The average goals was 5.5. So the margin there between the average goals
Right.
and the average
Right.
total is very small. That doesn't dictate to be a 62%. So again, in the NHL, it's a little different because again, every margin has to be by at least half a goal. But you look at the sample size as a whole, the numbers are pretty equal.
There you go. That's super interesting. Ralph Michaels put that information together with about 3 minutes to spare before this show begun. And Andrew Wojcicki writes, tired legs equals more goals. Andrew, that doesn't seem to be the case. But interesting, Ralph, was it was 5.5 was your number, and that's going to be the total for game 2 in Florida and Carolina. Shame we can't bet that it lands on 5.5. Okay, NFL schedule guide. You've got 2 charts. I'm going to shut up. Regale us with your incredible information.
And Prez, that's not true. I will take your bet that the game, if you want to bet yes, it'll land on 5.5, I will take that bet.
Well, aren't you sweet?
All right, guys, the NFL schedule guide is out. It's a must have if you're going to bet season win totals. If you're looking at betting the Circa Millions contest, it gives you a great week by week breakdown. I just want to throw 2 charts that are in there real quick. The first, you're just going to see a breakdown of schedule. DraftKings put a line out on every game. Yes, those lines are going to change, but it gives you an idea when you're looking at the teams at what a team's structure is relative to their schedule. So let's take a look and we'll see. There's only one team favored in every game this year. That's the Kansas City Chiefs. There's only one team that is a dog in every game this season. That is the Arizona Cardinals. But if you look at the left-hand side of the chart, those are overall. I'm not breaking down home. I'm not breaking down away. You see that Kansas City is a favorite of 3 or more points in 15 games. They're between the 2.5s in 2 games. And then if you look at to the right, to the home and away, at home, they're a favorite of 3 or more in 8 games. And on the road, they're a favorite of 3 or more in 7 games and between the 2s and 2 games. So this is a chart I have on Twitter. We don't need to spend much time at it because we're just diving into what the schedules have. But it does help you at a glance. Take a look. Because remember, those games between the 2.5s are basically a toss-up in the NFL. You know, those are the ones where you have to decide 50-50 if they're a win, if they're a loss. And then you start breaking down the bigger favorites and the smaller favorites. But the second chart I want to show you is what I have for every team in the schedule guide. And I'm going to show you the Kansas City Chiefs. Number 1, we have the schedule. You see that the schedule is color-coded. Those teams in blue are favorites. Those teams in reds are dogs. And obviously with the Kansas City Chiefs, you see they're a favorite in every game. But take a look at their schedule. They got back-to-back road game against the Jets and then a division foe. They got back-to-back road games at Denver and at Miami. After their bye, they host Philly. And look at December. They host Buffalo, they host Cincinnati, and then they go to the Chargers to end the season. a very difficult finish for the Chiefs. If you look to the right, I break down that same schedule breakdown by lines is available, but take a look at the rest with a yellow headline. Kansas City has the same amount of rest in 8 games this year. They have more rest than their foes in 2 games, and they have less rest in 6 games. So 6 times they're playing this year, their opponent actually has more rest than them coming in. That difference of 4, from more being +2 to less being -6, is the biggest difference in the NFL. So while you may say the Chiefs, yes, they're a favorite in every game, you want to bet them over, the rest differential tells you one thing, the finish down the rest of the year tells you another thing. And oh yeah, by the way, NFL season win totals of 10 or higher since 2015 have been 38% to the over, 62% to the under. People love betting on those good teams coming back the next year with those high season win totals, but it only happens 38% of the time.
So first, Ralph, the one thing I want to say, if you're interested at all in this stuff, download this guide. It is free. Yeah. All you have to do is go to Ralph's page and download it, and you can play around and look at all this data. The question that I want to ask you, again, we're giving out a free guide with an enormous amount of info on it. You got to pump it.
Yeah.
Because it's worth pumping. I downloaded it. I look at it. It's something worth paying attention to. Ralph, I've been getting a lot of questions and seeing a lot of questions about teams like Kansas City and teams like Arizona. Kansas City's favored in every game. They're not underdogs in any, but their win total is 11.5. They're supposed to lose 5.5 games. Arizona's not favored in any game. Their win total, 4.5, 5, and yet they're not favored in any game. Explain to the audience how a team can be favored in a game and still have a win total of only 11.5, or they can be underdogs in this game and still be lying to the 4.5 and 5 win team.
Well, the simplest thing is this. If you're between the 2.5s, that's basically a toss-up. If you have 12 games between the 2.5s, the average would say you're going to have 6 wins, 6 losses. Even if you're a 1 or a 2 point favorite in the NFL, Did you know NFL favorites under 3 in the last 5 years have only won 47.3% of the games straight up? So being a small favorite in the NFL, the theoreticals tell you that if you have a game between the 3s, you would add 0.5 wins for each of those situations. A 3 point favorite in the NFL wins, I'm going to guess here, I don't have that number. Let's say a 3 point favorite in the NFL wins
Minus 160.
73%. So 70% of the time. So you're getting 0.7 wins. So when you add up all those 0.4s, 0.5s, 0.6s, and 0.7s for the theoreticals for each favorite, that's where the difference is between the full seasons. No one's going to go 17-0 in this modern day and age in the NFL. So you look at the theoretical wins for each line, add those up, and that's how you get the season win totals.
Ralph Michaels joining us, everyone, the hardest working man at WagerTalk. That is for damn sure. Ralph, let's get into the NBA game tonight. We've got the Celtics and the Heat. Heat still getting almost no respect whatsoever. They're +9 here. Total of 215 points. How do we bet this game?
All right, first I want to mention the trends. I tweeted this out several times this year. And if copying is a form of flattery, I am flattered because it's funny how many people have retweeted the same thing under their name and say, oh, look at this great stat I found. So I will take that as a compliment. I'm not going to say I'm the first to invent it, but it's funny how many of my followers then retweet things. Let's remember, when an NBA playoff favorite of 7 or more loses, they have gone 81% straight up and 70.2% against the spread. Those teams do bounce back. Interestingly, when I look during the regular season, if a team in the NBA has revenge for a home loss when they lost by 7 or more, and they're off a home loss, those teams in the regular season have actually covered 78.5%. And one more subset, if you lost as a favorite of 7 or more at home, and now you're at home again, so you're in games 1 and 2, you have gone 19-1 straight up and 15-5 ATS 75%. Now, I have no play in the side. I just wanted to mention those numbers to you. I am going to go with the under first half, and that is an actual client play. Remember when I talked about that 19-1 record and 15-5 ATS? Well, guess what? When a big favorite in the NBA loses and is at home again, they are 70% to the under. When I look at last night's, the game 2 nights ago, Boston shot 52%. Miami shot 51.6%. Miami shot 16 of 31 from three-pointers. They had 48 combined field goals. Boston, very, very bad turnovers with 15 turnovers. It reminds me, Teddy, you and I talked about the Lakers game last night and that huge 50% shooting percentage both teams had in game 1. You do have those adjustments in game 2. When I looked at the playoffs, when I looked at round 3 of the playoffs and looked at game 2, just blindly playing game 2, 59% to the under. The teams are not traveling. You're back at home. You have an off day. You are making your adjustments. I think those adjustments happen more in the first half. So actual client release, first half under the total tonight, Boston and Miami.
Ralph likes the first half under game 2. The Heat and the Celtics looking for something similar to what we saw last night, with a much different pace and a much different defensive intensity for game 2 than there was for game 1. Ralph, let's shift focus to MLB for today. We have the Blue Jays and the Orioles, 2 contenders in the AL East. Kikuchi and Gibson. Let's call it minus 155 for Toronto. Looking at the WagerTalk Live odds screen, total 9.5, a little bit of juice to the under. How are you going to play this one between the Orioles and Blue Jays?
Well, Dwayne reached out to me in Slack earlier because he's on the same game, and he said wanted to make sure we were not on opposite sides. So you guys are going to get a hell of a lot about the Blue Jays and Orioles today. I am going first half as well, but I am going to go side. And I am going to take Toronto minus the half, minus 105. Now, this is a system that I really like in the MLB, and it goes against what Joe Public thinks. If you are off a loss as a favorite of minus 150 or more, like Baltimore is, and now you're on the road, those teams are 49% with an average line of minus 138. That's minus 79 units, and that's minus over 12.5 return on investment. So many people think, oh, a team's off a loss as a favorite, they're going to bounce back. But this situation, they were off a loss as a favorite against the Angels. They now have to travel to Toronto. You have to go through customs. It's not an easy situation. You look at the Blue Jays. Yes, they were 10-2 as a home favorite. Yes, they went 0-3 against the Yankees, but that's the Yankees that got Judge back and are now on a roll. You look, they had the bases loaded in the 7th inning and didn't push anyone in. You know, the Yankees, it's different playing the Yankees. We all know that. So Kikuchi, listen, he is not a 3.2 ERA kind of guy. He's much closer to a 4.9 ERA. But he has been consistently inconsistent this year. Last start, 4 runs in 4 innings. 2 starts ago, 6+ innings, a shutout. 3 starts ago, 5 runs in 4 innings. 4 starts ago, a 5+ innings shutout. So back-to-back shutouts coming off bad performances. He is coming off a bad performance. But the reason is his home runs. He's given up 11 home runs. That's an incredible number. He gave up 3 in the opener, and he gave up 5 in those 2 bad games. So again, inconsistently consistent. He does have a 20-3 strikeout walk ratio the last 4 games, and I am happy to fade Gibson. Gibson with a 6.2 ERA, a 1.5 whip, a 12-7 strikeout walk ratio. You look at the situation as well, I am happy to take them. Yes, the Blue Jays have been good against lefties, but I'll tell you what, 8 of those games, they were a favorite of 160 or more. And yes, Kikuchi had a horrible season against the O's last year. I think 0-3 with an 8-point-something ERA. But that was after spending 3 years in Seattle and having to face that brutal AL East lineup for the first time. I will back Toronto here. First 5, minus the half run, minus 105.
Ralph Michaels, everyone. Outstanding, my brother. What do you have to promote?
Nothing. I got a light package up today. You got one of my plays already. So the Wager Talk schedule guide, absolutely free. It's available on my homepage or on Jeff's homepage as well. Jeff did a great article on back-to-back road games. You know, we know back-to-back road teams are about 50% ATS, but he's got some interesting straight-up data if you're doing season win totals on what to look for in those roles.
Thank you, Ralph. Outstanding work. Guys, make sure to grab that NFL guide. It's free. It's free. Just go grab it. Teddy Covers, what did we learn in the wonderful world of sports betting?
Well, we learned two things last night, but the first one, Lawrence, I want to ask you about because you got to explain to me what goalie interference was. Yes, I was aware about what happened in the hockey game last night that lasted too late here on the left coast, let alone for anyone back east.
Yep.
But I know that it was because of this goalie interference, and I watched it, and I'm like, what was that? What's goalie interference? And
So interesting question, Teddy, because one would think that you would have to interfere with the goalie for it to be goalie interference. You would assume that it's not true. That doesn't work that way. If a player goes into the crease, you know how the crease is blue ice instead of white?
yeah,
If a player goes into the crease on his own, it's goalie interference. If they touch, doesn't matter if
So
it's
it was
incidental.
like it wasn't like last night's
That was the right call.
extra 3 overtimes. Yeah.
That was the right call. It was goalie interference. It was an accident that their skates touched, but the player went into the crease on his own, and he's not allowed to do that because then the goalie doesn't have free movement no matter what. Great question. What else, bro?
So we had certainly drama in the NHL. And if you want to talk about point spread drama, I don't think there's a better example than last night, Lakers and Nuggets. Didn't matter which side you had.
Woo.
Stress City. You know, game's tight in the first quarter. LA takes over in the second. They lead at halftime. They lead through 3, up 3 heading into the fourth. If they can avoid a fourth quarter nightmare, it'll be a wire-to-wire job for LA backers. And next thing you know, Denver goes on a 15-1 run, and they're up 12, and there's less than 5 to play. But just like Game 1, Lakers made a late push. Denver's up 7 with 3 to play. They're up 5 with 2 to play. They're up 2 with 1 to play after Reeves banked in the 3. 4 on 5 with LeBron in pain on the other end. And in my opinion, that was nothing in the final minute happens without the way that it did without Reeves banking in that 3. See the Schroeder foul. Murray hits 2 free throws. They go up 4. The Lakers miss. Now they have to foul. Murray hits 2 more free throws. Now they're up 6. There's 24 seconds to play. LeBron layup down 4. Murray hits the first, finally misses one the second. And that ended up being the difference ATS. Nuggets up 5. Reeves layup back to 3. No wild 3. Normally in that situation, you see a team jack a wild 3, or oftentimes. Not in that instance, kept on shooting layups. Murray, 2 free throws back to 5. And then the most dramatic play of it all. LeBron turns it over. 8 seconds left. Bruce Brown steal. Oh, shit, Lakers backers are screwed. But no foul, no layup, just a dribble out. Denver wins by exactly 5. Line bounced 5, 5.5. There were some 6s early. Every half point mattered. And it was a friggin' heart attack game, whichever side you had. It was lucky to be on the right side of that end game. But I ain't giving the money back. I'll take it, Lawrence. How about you?
Brother, I was on the Lakers +3 in the first half. I didn't have to go through any of that, but I did obviously watch the game. And every half point always matters, even if it doesn't at the end of the game, because ultimately your responsibility as a bettor is to get the best line you can. You never know when you're going to need that half point. Teddy Covers, Dwayne Bryant joining us. Dwayne, excited to have you, man. Oh, my God, it's good to see you, bro. You wearing the Punisher shirt?
Absolutely.
How many of these do you actually own, or is it just the same shirt every day?
No, I probably have 3 of them. And I don't
Which
even buy them.
Punisher
My
did
family
you like
buys
the
them
best?
for me.
Are you a Thomas Jane Punisher guy, or are you a
Oh, I love that
can't
movie.
remember his name Punisher guy?
Bernthal?
Yeah, he was awesome.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
so good, right?
I liked both of them.
Yeah.
So.
But John Bernthal's Punisher was so good, especially the second season of Daredevil. Oh, it was spectacular.
Yeah.
Dwayne Bryant joining us. Dwayne, we're going to get straight into it. You also have some thoughts on the Orioles and Blue Jays. What are they?
Well, when we were exchanging messages in Slack, Ralph told me he was on Toronto the full game. So I thought, oh, great, we're really not opposite each other. But then he went the first 5 routes. So now we are opposite each other because I like Baltimore first 5 innings on the run line, plus a half run. Last time I looked, it was minus 110. We all know how much of a moneymaker Baltimore's been in the first game of a series this season, 12-2, including 7-0 on the road. They hit left-hand pitching very well. They've got a 124 WRC plus against lefties. That's 24% better than league average. And that actually improves to 146 on the road. Speaking of the road, Baltimore's 5-0 this season on the road at night against left-handed starting pitchers, averaging 7.6 runs per game. And these Orioles hitters have hit Kikuchi very well. 303 average, 446 weighted on base average, a 605 expected slugging percentage in 73 plate appearances. And Ralph mentioned it. Kikuchi faced Baltimore 3 times last season. None of the starts were good. An 8.76 ERA and a 2.03 WHIP overall. And I get it. I mean, I know Kyle Gibson is no gem, and I know his road numbers this season aren't good either. That's probably mostly why the line is where it is. But Toronto has only been slightly above average against right-handed pitching. I'm seeing a 106 WRC plus against right, both overall and at home. And while Baltimore is averaging 7.6 runs per game in road night games against left-handed starters, Toronto is only averaging 4.4 runs per game in home night games against right-handed starters. So while Gibson's road numbers leave a lot to be desired, the Orioles are actually 3-2 in his road starts this season, including 2-0 when they faced a left-handed starter. So, I mean, if you follow me, you guys know that I don't like bullpens, especially road pens. So I'm going to stick with the Orioles on the first 5 run line here at minus 110. I think they should at least be tied here through 5 innings, if not have the lead.
Dwayne says look at Baltimore first 5 in contrasting opinion to what Ralph said earlier on the show. And you need 2 opinions, or there's no such thing as a betting market. If everyone had the same opinion, there'd be no market. So good to hear both sides of the equation. We just talked a little bit about the drama, the point spread drama in Game 2, and Game 1 and Game 2 of Nuggets and Lakers have been extreme point spread drama in both of those contests. Game 3 on Saturday night. And if you look at the new feature on the WagerTalk Live on screen, you can see the opener from all the different books. Lakers Nuggets Game 3 opened 3.5 at DraftKings, 4 at Circa, 4.5 at Westgate at South Point. Now we're looking at 5.5. Just about everywhere. There were 6s last night. The money poured in on the Lakers last night. LA minus 5.5, total 223.5 against Denver. What do we do with Game 3 on Saturday?
Yeah, Teddy, I'm glad I didn't have a side in either one of those first 2 games. That's definitely drama I don't need. But yeah, this Game 3 line opened LA minus 4 at most books. It's been bet up to Lakers minus 5.5. Last I looked at most shops. And I agree with that move. I mean, if LA is going to play an A game in this series, I would have to think it's most likely going to be Game 3 at home. And they have taken care of business at home in the playoffs this year. They're 7-0 straight up and 6-1 against the spread. And the only ATS loss was against Minnesota in the play-in game. And that home record improves to a perfect 4-0 straight up and against the spread if the Lakers are off a loss, as they are heading into this Game 3. And the Lakers won those 4 games by an average of 25.25 points per game. Looking at the Nuggets side of it, they're just 2-3 straight up and against the spread on the road in the playoffs this year. And then looking league-wide, in the history of the SDQL database, NBA playoff round 3, game 3 road underdogs that are up 2-0 in the series. They're just 3-9 straight up and against the spread. including 1-4 straight up and against the spread if they're an underdog of more than 3 points. LA's calling card in these playoffs, and really since the All-Star break, has been its defense. And they actually did a good job in game 2. I mean, they held the Nuggets to 43.8% from the field on their home floor. And I do expect the Lakers to put another solid defensive effort out there in this game. Only this time I expect more of their own shots to fall. And I say that because I mentioned in a few seconds ago the Lakers being 4-0 straight up and ATS at home off a loss in these playoffs. And in those 4 games, they shot 50.9% from the field and held their opponents to 36.3% from the field. So I think LA makes a statement that this series isn't over with a big home win on Saturday. I definitely don't want to lay more than 6, but I definitely do lean Lakers in that one.
Dwayne Bryant, everybody. Ski is partying tonight, according to him in the chat room. So if anyone wants to party hard with Ski, where you're partying, man, invite the gang. Dwayne, what do you got to promote?
I do have one MLB play up for tonight. I am on a 6-0 MLB streak and actually a 7-0-1 undefeated streak on my MLB sides. But better than buying that play, if you use coupon code DB3, you'll get my 3-day all access for the price of a 1-day pass, which is $39. I'm plus 36.13 units in MLB this season. I mentioned I'm on a 6-0 streak, but I've also hit 56.5% winners in the NBA playoffs on a 5-1 and 7-2-1 runs in the NBA playoffs, 7-0 on my last 7 plays across all sports. So again, that's code DB3 at checkout on a 3-day all access, and you'll get that for the price of a 1-day pass.
Thank you, Dwayne. Terrific. Guys, make sure to take advantage of that. Teddy, I told you we have a hard stop at 12:45 because I got to go. You're in Slack going, oh, I'm dragging the show till 12:55. So here's how this is going. Daniel, at 12:45, I'm leaving. Teddy can drag the show as long as he wants. We're only at 57 likes. For some reason, they don't want a daily presidential address, so I don't need to worry about that. Teddy, it's time for the best segment ever. Every day, this segment kills. Betting strategy with Teddy and the Prez. All right, guys. So we got 2 questions. Both will be quick. One is asked by Deep Fry Thai, which sounds freaking delicious. When do you take a percentage of your profits during the marathon of betting? So Teddy and I addressed this last week, and it's such a good question that I thought we would address it again. And guys, if you have questions, please put it up in the comments section. The answer from my perspective, Deep Fry, is there's no rocket science here. It's if you need the money, take the money. If you don't need the money, never take the money. Teddy and I do not cash out our betting bankroll. I don't cash out my stocks unless, of course, they are up, and then I will sell and buy another, but I never actually take the money liquid. I don't cash out my mutual funds. Same with my crypto, same with my platinum and my gold. Investments remain investments. Teddy?
Yeah, when you're playing a percentage of bankroll, as soon as you take money out of that bankroll, you're playing a lower percentage. So in general, if you don't need it, leave it in there. If you need it, it's a different story. And if you want to splurge, it's okay. After you have a monster season, you have a nice run, you made a bunch of money, you want to splurge and buy something, you're allowed to do that. But recognize that when you do that, you're also potentially limiting your future earnings growth. So the goal is less rather than more. And the more you can leave in there, the more chances, as Lawrence always likes to talk about that exponential growth that you can put together when you're betting percentage of bankroll over the long term. So do it if you have to. If you don't have to, leave it in there. In both of our opinions.
Teddy.
Lawrence?
Teddy, Denny McRee writes, I realize this is an off-trail question, but I found myself with a decent size bet on the Miami Heat to win at plus 15,000. Is that a typo? Is it not plus 1,500?
No,
15,000.
that's no typo.
Great freaking bet, Danny McCree. Anyway, bottom line is he wants to know what the line will be in the next series if the Heat go through to advance against Denver or the Lakers. He wants to hedge that bet tonight. At plus 15,000, I got zero issue with you, Edge. I would if you put $100 down, bet $100 on Celtics to win the series. I have zero issue with you hedging here. You are holding a monster of a ticket, Teddy.
He's not asking about if he's hedging. He's asking about what the series price is likely to be for the next series, depending on who Miami would play. So we'll answer Danny McCree's question in this way. Look at the numbers for Miami versus Boston in this series, okay? And just let me pull them up real quick, because that's going to give you an idea about where they're going to price. We saw the Celtics priced as 6-1 favorites, basically. Celtics are power rated as the number one team in the NBA. Denver's power rated just behind them. I would expect, much like what Ralph talked about earlier on the show, where that's how you're coming up with the total number of wins for teams, is giving each team a percentage chance. It's the same story when you talk about how to create a series price. You're going to take the power rating between the two teams. You're going to look at the home court rating. You're going to create a point spread for each game, which is going to translate to a game, which over 7 games is going to average out a series price. So to make a short answer long, we saw a 6-1 favorite for Denver. For Boston over Miami. Denver's going to be shorter than that. Well shorter than that. But I would expect them both to be in the 4-1 range, at least 3-1 over Miami. Probably more like 4-1 and potentially even higher than that. So that's my guess.
With that said, I would hedge tonight what you put on that bet, and I would hedge it again next series. You don't get to plus 15,000 tickets very often. Teddy, this is how it's going down. We're at 90 likes. We're going to get to 100. We're going to do the daily presidential address right now. Then we will bring in to talk French Open. This way, it gives me the chance to do the daily presidential address and leave. I take my kid to the chiropodist. I don't have a choice in this matter. Teddy?
I understand. I got hard outs all the time.
Yeah. Good thing I don't pay attention to yours. Dan, the presidential address. Okay, guys, daily presidential address, and stay with us. Nick Borrman still coming on to talk the French Open. Long story short, I'll make this fast. I won again last night. I did lose my 5%, but I went 2-1 for my clients on a nice dog on the New York Yankees. First 5 last night to put me in the positives. I've now won 9 of my last 10 days, and I'm on a 17-5 all sports run. I literally have 1 NHL, 1 NBA, and 2 MLB plays. You can get them over at WagerTalk. As for your free bets tonight, Dwayne came on. He likes the Baltimore Orioles first 5. Ralph came on. He likes the Toronto Blue Jays first 5. Strangely, I had marked the Toronto Blue Jays first 5 as one of my Prez picks. So I'm breaking the tie. I'm taking Kikuchi and the Blue Jays -0.5 first 5. I also like the San Diego Padres -145. Teddy, do you have anything for us?
I do. It is my first 5% big ticket release in MLB for the season, going today 59-32. 65% with those 5% big tickets, counting everyone over the last 2 years since May of 2021. So they have a very strong track record. First one of the year goes tonight in MLB action. It's on a total. When it comes to a free winner for today, look, there hasn't been a more disappointing team, I don't think, in my opinion, the San Diego Padres. They've lost 9 of their last 11. They can't get out of their own way. Machado's hurt. They're 1-7 in Snell's 8 starts this year, and they're laying a price. not for this better. Give me Boston plus +125 against the slumping, underachieving Padres. Prez?
We're against each other. Bicep. Anyway, Teddy, I'm going to, Monday is my birthday. We are doing a birthday show. It's going to be a regular show, but I really wanted to do a roast the Prez day. We bring all the guests in. They just roast the shit out of me for 45 minutes. I thought that would have made a great show. As you can see, Teddy's eye rolling already. Nick Borrman, everyone. Nick, twice in 1 week, bro. So listen, I'm going to bug out because I got to take my kid to a chiropodist. The hell do they come up with these names? Do you even know what a chiropodist is, Nick?
It's a fancy word for I have no clue.
Teddy? It's a foot doctor.
Ah.
Yeah. Chiropodist.
Podiatrist?
And it's
Podiatrist.
spelled. No, that's another foot
Podiatrist, it is.
doctor. A chiropodist is one that is more special. So what can I tell you? It's even spelt like Cairo, but it's a chiropodist. Nick, I'm out of here. I'm handing the segment to Teddy. I love you guys. Be well, everyone. You're in my heart. Kick ass this weekend. I'm out.
Goodbye, Prez. Now let's talk some French Open with Nick Borrman. Nick, how do we bet this French Open futures market? Talk about a couple of guys you're looking at in the French Open to make some money.
Sure. Yeah, thanks for having me on again this week, Teddy. French Open begins Monday morning, and really the only thing that's available this minute is the outright market, and it's a little too early to get down on the outright market, and I'll explain why. Obviously, I also handicap golf. I was on here talking about the PGA Championship this week. When the golf lines come out, you can get right on them, pretty much right away. The only thing that's going to possibly affect you is weather. But it's every man for himself. In tennis, it's head-to-head matchups, right? It's literally the same thing as March Madness. You got to wait until the draw comes out because you don't want to be holding tickets on a guy you like when, they're in the same quarter as maybe Novak Djokovic, or in this case, Carlos Alcaraz, who's the man on clay. So you want to wait. But that doesn't mean you can't start kind of setting your plan in motion, which I'll get to in a little bit. But in general, when you're doing the futures markets, I like to look at the outright market, and I also like to look at the quarters market. And what that is betting who's going to win each quarterfinal. There's 128 players in a major, and there's 4 quarters, and you can get guys basically just to reach the semifinals, and you can get some great plus money on some of those guys to get that far. And again, you got to kind of wait till the draw to get there. And those are just general rules for any tennis tournament. When you get to the French Open, the one last thing I'll add is the French is obviously on clay, and clay is a different animal when it comes to betting tennis. Your guys like Daniil Medvedev and Novak Djokovic are, they're hard to beat on hard surface. There's no doubt about it. But when you get to clay, it is different. There's a reason Rafael Nadal ruled Roland Garros for as long as he did. And there are guys that you might not have heard of that will all of a sudden play very well and beat guys that you have heard of, and you're scratching your head going, what's going on? So when you're looking at the individual matchups as they come out over the 2 weeks, you're going to see names that you might not recognize. And when you question why they might be favorites or at least lesser of an underdog than you thought so, there's a good reason. And it's because they're clay court specialists, and this is what they do. It's a different animal. So, a guy like Francisco Cerundolo, he just beat Jannik Sinner last week earlier this week. And that looks like an upset, but really not much of one. Casper Ruud's a top 10 player, but really he's a top 10 player on clay. If you get to hard surface, you're not betting him to win anything, but he can contend in this type of a tournament. Lorenzo Mazzetti is another name that's just a clay court guy. Point is, pay attention to who these matchups are. Click on their matchup profile and look at their records. You'll see guys that play 80% of their matches on clay. And you just got to take it cautious when you're looking at those individual matchups. But that's just the general rule of thumb. Teddy, I'm guessing you want some actual names and some prices on some guys, right?
Sure, it wouldn't hurt to give some actual names and some prices. That being said, what's your card going to look like? I guess I got 2 questions before we throw back to you for some names and some prices. First, what's your card going to look like? And second, when U.S. time does the French Open start on Monday? Is this one of those deals if people want to get on board, they better get on board on Sunday? Or can you still get in on Monday morning on the East Coast or out here west?
Well, the outright markets you can they're live, so you can kind of get in on them late. But first matches start at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock French time, which is 5 o'clock hours difference here on the East. So you're talking, yes, very early morning hours on Monday. So possibly 3 a.m., 4 a.m. start time. So unless you're up a night owl like myself, you probably want to get your action in on Sunday night before you go to sleep. Some matches will linger because there's a lot of matches any given day. Will linger into the afternoon hours of Monday, but definitely a lot will begin early on Monday morning. So check your matchups on Sunday, and definitely if you can, try to get your outrights in before the weekend's up. And the draw will be up most likely on Saturday night going into Sunday because they kind of wait to see what this current tournament, how this finishes out. So those will be available more than 24 hours in advance as well. So good question there. I will move on to some names for you here, Teddy, and a couple I am looking at that I think, again, I'm going to wait until the draw comes out, but a couple that I will circle right off the way. Stefanos Tsitsipas. He's 10-1 right now on the outright market. And I got to just preface that in this tournament, there's probably 6 players, realistically, that have a shot to win this thing. 5 setters is a different animal than 3 setters. There's a lot of underdogs that can win a 3-set match, but a 5-set match, a marathon, is very difficult. Anybody knows that. The longer the sample size, the longer a season is, the more likely the better player or team or whatever is going to prevail. And it's the same in these majors, right? So he's 10-1. He's obviously a top 5 player, and there's good reasons. He's very good on clay. He's 25-5 record in 2021, 17-4 last year, 13-3 so far this year. He's currently in the semifinals in Rome this week, which is a big Masters 1000 event. Those are the next biggest events besides the majors. He's won 4 events the last 2 seasons. 3 of them were on clay. The only thing missing for Tsitsipas so far is a major win, but we're getting to the end of the big 3 era, right? Djokovic, Nadal, and Federer, and there are a lot of good names that are really starting to rise to the top, and a lot of young guys. Tsitsipas is kind of in that in-between range. He's been around a little bit longer than some of these young guys, but I feel like he's going to get a major. His best surface is clay, so if there is a chance to do it, it's probably here. 10-1, again, wait till the draw comes out to see. Make sure he's not in Carlos Alcaraz's quarter because he's going to be the dangerous one. I'll get to him in a second. Next one I like, Holger Rune, plus 850. 20 years old this kid is, from Denmark. He's worked himself up to number 7 in the world ranking already. He's in the semifinals also this week. He just beat Novak Djokovic in the last round to get there, which is his 2nd straight win over the world number 1. So that gives you an idea of this kid's talent. Rune is 17-4 over his last 6 Masters 1000 events, including winning in the fall at the Paris Masters. And he beat Djokovic in that final. He also won a 500 series event in Munich on clay just last month. The worry I have, if he wins this week, I actually like his chances a little less at the French Open because it's a very quick turnaround and it's very difficult to win back-to-back. So I'm kind of rooting for him to lose maybe here in the semis and then give him a little time off and let him come in fresher for the French Open. But he is a name I have circled. He's also a great bet to win his quarterfinal. He just did that this week. He was plus 300 to do so. So keep that in mind. But ultimately, Teddy, this is Carlos Alcaraz's tournament to lose. He's plus 130 to win the whole dang thing, which is incredibly low, obviously. 20 years old. He's already reached world number 1. He's fallen back to number 2, right behind Djokovic right now, but he's going to pass him. He's won 4 Masters 1000 titles already. He's the reigning U.S. Open champion. He's already won at Indian Wells, Barcelona, and Madrid this year. Like another famous Spaniard, he can win on any surface, but clay is where he rules. He went 27-4 last year, already 20-2 this season, a combined 7 titles at 20 years old on clay already. He was surprisingly ousted early this week, but honestly, that only gives him more time to get ready for that French Open, and a fully fit and rested Carlos Alcaraz on clay. It's like rolling back the clock on getting Rafael Nadal back, before he dominated this tournament and getting him in those first few years. So expect Carlos to be there at the end. Expect him to reign on clay for years and years and years to come. It's hard to get a lot of money down on him and anybody else because he's such a favorite. But just keep in mind, it's his tournament to lose. If you're betting quarters, if you're betting draw outrights, just pay attention to where he is on the draw. If you can get on the other side of him, those are the guys you might want to do, and then you can always hedge your bet later. So those are the 3 guys I have circled now, Teddy.
Tsitsipas, Rune, and of course the favorite, Alcaraz, plus 130 versus the field. Carlos Alcaraz, the favorite, for a good reason, as Nick Borrman has just stated. Nick, what do you have to promote? What's going on at WagerTalk.com this weekend.
Yeah, thanks, Teddy. We have a soccer best bet going today. Italy Serie A this afternoon. Been on an incredible soccer run, 31-10 the month of May. So hopefully we'll continue to keep that rolling. MLS up 40 units on the year, going for 5 straight winning seasons. I have my pack. There's a Saturday full slate of games going Saturday evening. So that is up available now, as well as a small card Saturday and Sunday morning in Europe soccer as well. So a lot of soccer this weekend, and that's what's going on right now. And we will have French Open available later today. $49, Teddy. It's going to get you the entire tournament. So that's 2 full weeks. It'll be all outright plays, all futures plays, and then, of course, daily matchups as we go through those 2 weeks.
$49 for 2 weeks of French Open action. Thank you so much, Nick Borrman. Best of luck this weekend and beyond. That's going to wrap it for the week here at Wager Talk Today. We'll do it again next week, each and every weekday, 9 a.m. here on the left coast, noon for you back east. Between now and next show on Monday, you guys know what to do. Enjoy the games. Best of luck with your wagers. Thanks for watching.
A 7-day all-access pass is a great way to get a week of your favorite WagerTalk handicapper selections for under $15 per day. An all-access pass includes all plays in all sports released from your favorite WagerTalk expert, including any top-rated 5% plays generally priced at $35. Well, we not only made the 7-day all-access better this week, but we made it 50% better. From now through Sunday, May 21st, you can head to your favorite handicappers page and get the 7-11 special, giving you 11 days of all-access service for the same $99 we normally charge you for 7. It's like getting a $59 3-day pass and a $39 1-day pass for free. So pick 1, pick 2, or pick all your favorite handicappers and get their all-access service for the next 11 days for only $9 per day per handicapper.